No one knows how tired you are. Not the tired you fix with sleep, not the tired you hide with jokes. I am talking about the tired that lives in your bones, the tired that comes from fighting battles you never talk about, the tired that comes from waking up every day and choosing not to quit. They see you standing, they assume you are fine, they have no idea what it costs you just to exist. You wake up already exhausted, not because you did nothing yesterday, because you carried too much. You open your eyes and your body feels heavy, your mind feels heavier, and before your feet even touch the ground, the fight starts again. No one sees this moment. No one hears the sigh you swallow. No one feels the weight pressing down on your chest. They think tired means sleep. They think rest fixes everything. They are wrong. This kind of tired comes from surviving, from holding yourself together when everything inside you wants to collapse, from waking up every day and choosing responsibility over relief. You do not talk about it. You cannot. If you did, they would not understand. They would tell you to relax. They would tell you to stay positive. They would tell you others have it worse. They do not know the wars you fight before breakfast. You carry memories you never asked for. You carry expectations you never agreed to. You carry pressure that has nowhere to go, so you lock it inside. You tighten your jaw. You keep moving, because stopping feels dangerous. You learned early that if you fall apart, no one is coming to save you. You learned that strength is expected, not rewarded. You learned that silence keeps things moving. So you mastered it. You mastered showing up while empty. You mastered smiling while tired. You mastered functioning while breaking. And the world claps for that. They call you reliable. They call you strong. They call you disciplined. What they do not see is the cost. Every day takes something from you. A little patience, a little hope, a little softness you never get back. You feel it when you are alone, when the noise stops, when there is no one watching. That is when the exhaustion catches up. Your body slows. Your mind replays everything you have been holding down, and the question creeps in, how long can I keep doing this? You do not say it out loud. You are afraid of the answer, because you already know it is not much longer. This is not weakness. This is what happens when a person becomes their own support system for too long. You were never meant to carry all of this alone, but here you are, still standing, and that is the part no one respects enough. They see results. They do not see sacrifice. They see output. They do not see erosion. They see you moving forward. They do not see what you left behind just to survive. You have lost parts of yourself quietly. Your excitement, your trust, your ability to rest without guilt. You remember a time when things felt lighter, when effort did not feel like punishment, when being alive did not feel like endurance training. That version of you did not disappear. It went into survival mode. It went quiet so you could keep going, and now the silence is loud. You feel it in your chest when the day ends. You feel it in your back when you sit down. You feel it in the way you stare at nothing, trying to recover enough energy to stand again. This is the tired no one knows, not because you hide it perfectly, but because no one asks the right questions. And even if they did, you would not know how to answer. How do you explain exhaustion that has no finish line? How do you explain pressure that never lifts? How do you explain being tired of being strong? So you say you are fine, and you keep going. But something inside you is watching. Something is counting. Something is getting close to a limit you never talk about. This is where warriors are forged, not in applause, not in comfort, in this quiet, heavy, unseen grind. And if you are still listening right now, it is because this is not just a video to you. It is a mirror. And what comes next is where things stop being survivable and start becoming dangerous, because tired turns into something else when it goes ignored for too long. The cost of being strong. Strength looks good from the outside. From a distance, it even looks admirable. But strength, real strength, is expensive, and the bill always comes due. You learn to be strong because weakness was not an option. There was no backup plan. There was no soft place to land. So you adapted. You stopped asking for help. You stopped expecting understanding. You stopped believing anyone would carry you if you fell. That decision kept you alive, but it also isolated you. Because strength makes people comfortable. They see you handling things and assume you always will. They lean on you and never ask how heavy it feels, and you let them. You became the one who fixes, the one who holds it together, the one who absorbs impact so others do not have to. No one thanks you for that. They just expect it again tomorrow. This is the hidden cost. Every time you stay calm while chaos surrounds you, something inside you tightens. Every time you swallow your reaction to keep the peace, something inside you hardens. Every time you show up while running on empty, your body remembers, and it keeps score. You tell yourself it is fine. You tell yourself this is what responsibility looks like. You tell yourself you can rest later. Later keeps moving. The world does not slow down because you are tired. Deadlines do not care about your exhaustion. People do not pause their expectations because you are close to breaking. So you keep pushing. You wake up and perform competence. You speak with control. You act like everything is manageable. But inside you are rationing energy like a soldier in a long war. You choose where to spend it. You choose what to ignore. You choose which emotions you can afford to feel today. Joy becomes expensive. Anger becomes dangerous. Sadness becomes a luxury you cannot risk. So you go numb. Not because you want to, because numbness costs less than caring. People think you are cold now. They say you changed. They say you are distant. They have no idea how much warmth it took to survive this long. You did not lose your heart, you protected it. And protection has side effects. You struggle to relax even when you have time. You feel restless in moments that should feel safe. Your body stays alert long after the danger passed. That is not attitude. That is conditioning. You trained yourself to stay ready, to stay sharp, to stay in control. Because losing control once taught you a lesson you never forgot. So now you hold the line, every day, with no witnesses. This is the lonely part of strength. You cannot share the load because people would crumble under it. You cannot explain the pressure because it sounds dramatic. You cannot slow down because everything depends on you moving. And maybe that is the lie you tell yourself. Maybe not everything depends on you, but enough does that you do not risk finding out. So you sacrifice quietly. You sacrifice sleep. You sacrifice peace. You sacrifice the version of yourself that laughed without checking the cost first. And the world rewards you with more weight, more responsibility, more expectations, more reasons to stay strong. This is how burnout disguises itself as discipline. This is how survival gets mistaken for success. You are not lazy. You are overloaded. You are not weak. You are worn down. And deep down, you feel it. You feel the cracks forming in places no one can see. You feel the patience thinning. You feel the edge sharpening. Something in you is getting tired of being reasonable. That is dangerous, because when a person carries too much for too long, the collapse is not loud. It is controlled. It is cold. It shows up as detachment, as rage you keep on a leash, as a decision to stop explaining yourself. And that is where this story turns, because the next phase is not about endurance. It is about limits. And once you cross that line, you do not go back to who you were. When tired turns into something else, there comes a moment when tired stops feeling soft. It hardens. At first, you think you are just irritable. You think you need rest. You think you need space. But this is not that. This is the moment when endurance runs out and instinct takes over. You notice it in small ways. Your patience disappears faster than it used to. Your tolerance drops. Your silence becomes deliberate. You stop explaining yourself. Not because you have nothing to say, because you are done wasting breath. This is not burnout. This is boundary forming under pressure. You spent years absorbing impact, years choosing calm, years being the bigger person. And one day, something clicks. You realize being strong for everyone else has been costing you yourself. That realization does not arrive gently. It arrives sharp. You feel it in your chest. A tightness that does not go away. A focus that feels different. This is not chaos. This is clarity. You stop negotiating with exhaustion. You stop apologizing for limits. You stop shrinking to keep others comfortable. That scares people. They preferred you tired but compliant. They liked you exhausted but useful. They do not recognize you when you start standing still instead of bending. They say you changed. They are right. You had to, because the old version of you was running out of fuel, and survival demands adaptation. This is where anger enters, not explosive anger, controlled anger, the kind that sharpens instead of destroys. It shows up as decisiveness, as refusal, as the word no said without explanation. This anger is not reckless, it is protective. It stands between you and further damage. You start cutting weight, commitments that drain you. People who take without noticing, patterns that keep you exhausted. This feels wrong at first, because you were trained to endure, not to choose. But endurance without direction is just slow self-destruction. You realize something painful. Being strong did not make them respect you. Being available did not make them careful with you. Being reliable did not make them value your limits. So you stop offering unlimited access. This is the breaking point people misunderstand. They expect tears. They expect collapse. They expect you to fall apart. Instead, you become quiet, precise, unmovable. That is more unsettling than weakness. Because now you see clearly. You see who shows up when you pull back. You see who only cared when you carried. You see how much of your exhaustion came from overextension, not effort. This awareness hurts, but it also frees you. You no longer confuse loyalty with self-sacrifice. You no longer confuse discipline with punishment. You no longer confuse strength with silence. This is where the warrior wakes up. Not the loud kind, not the reckless kind. The kind that knows when to conserve energy. The kind that knows when to strike and when to walk away. You stop fighting every battle. You stop reacting to every demand. You stop proving yourself to people who never questioned your exhaustion. And for the first time in a long time, your tiredness changes shape. It is no longer draining you. It is informing you. It tells you where the line is. It tells you what matters. It tells you what cannot continue. This is not the end. This is the shift. Because once a tired person becomes aware, they become dangerous to systems that rely on their silence. This is where it changes. Not because life gets easier. Not because people finally understand. It changes because you decide something quietly. You decide you will not abandon yourself anymore. That decision does not come with fireworks. It comes with resolve, calm, a steady refusal to keep bleeding for comfort that never arrives. You stop waiting to be noticed. You stop waiting to be rescued. You stop waiting for permission to rest, to say no, to choose yourself. This is the warrior moment, not the kind people celebrate, the kind no one sees. You wake up tired, still tired, but different. The tired no longer owns you. You own it. You move with intention now. You conserve energy. You protect focus. You do not explain every choice. You do not justify every boundary. You do not attend every fight you are invited to. That is strength refined. You accept a hard truth. Some people benefited from your exhaustion. Some systems relied on your silence. Some relationships only worked when you carried more than your share. You let those fall apart, not out of bitterness, out of clarity. You choose alignment over approval. You choose sustainability over praise. You choose long-term survival over short-term peace. This costs you things, comfort, familiar roles, certain people. You grieve that quietly, then you keep moving, because you understand something now. Rest is not weakness. Boundaries are not selfish. Saying no is not failure. They are maintenance, and warriors who refuse maintenance do not last. People will notice the difference. They will say you are colder. They will say you are distant. They will say you changed. You will not argue, because the truth is simple. You stopped burning yourself to keep others warm, and something unexpected happens. Your tiredness eases, not because life lightens, because the load is finally balanced. You feel energy return in pieces, focus sharpens, confidence stabilizes. Not loud confidence, grounded confidence, the kind that does not need to prove anything. You are still tired, but you are no longer depleted. There is a difference. Depletion breaks people. Tiredness informs warriors. And now you listen. You listen to your limits. You listen to your body. You listen to the quiet voice that says this matters, this does not. That voice kept you alive. Now it leads you forward. No one may ever know how tired you were. They may never understand what it took. That is fine. This was never about them. This was about you choosing to stand again, with awareness, with restraint, with purpose. And if you are still here, still listening, still breathing through the weight of it all, hear this clearly. You did not survive by accident. You adapted, you endured, you evolved. And that makes you dangerous in the best possible way. Not loud, not reckless, unbreakable where it counts. The world may never thank you, but you will. Before you leave, pause for a second. If this spoke to you, do not rush back into noise. Sit with it. Let it land. Ask yourself one hard question. What have you been carrying that was never yours to hold alone? You do not need to answer out loud. Just be honest. If you are still tired, that does not mean you are failing. It means you have been strong for a long time. And if this felt like someone finally understood you, stay connected. This space is for people who keep going when quitting would be easier. Listen to the next one. Share this with someone who never complains but looks exhausted. Stay here, because the fight is not over, and neither are you.